Lindy Lee Part 1. Lindy Lee, I support President Trump and trust he has America's best interests at heart. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Mason. I saw a video of Lindy Lee. I loved how brave she was, even though it was too late, after the Democrats lost the presidential election in November 2024. She broke away from the group and told us about their failure. But this was after the fact. I have decided to write on the video above after seeing it. So here is my response to her statements using systems theory and information theory. It looks at the structure, quality of evidence, and causal logic of her claims instead of just partisan emotion. To begin, I want to remark that her statement looks serious at first because it uses big numbers, actual names, and moral language. That kind of mixture alone gives her a lot of emotional power with little proof of cause. So using information theory, I can understand that her words are warning signs. When a communication has a lot of emotional weight, but not much structure that can be checked, it usually works as a persuasive signal message instead of an analytical claim. So when she gives these names and big dollar amounts, she doesn't provide any proof, and her words alone don't prove a causal connection. It only makes people think it's real. She's dropping names like crazy, and some of the people on the panel are smiling and nodding along. But she doesn't say that she doesn't have a real causal mechanism to show. Lindy Lee suggests a direct sequence of occurrences. It seems to me that she is claiming that Singer controls policy because he gives money to political groups. This means that Singer generated a specific national strategy, which means that Singer personally benefits from it, which means that the policy is not valid. People say that her series of events is true instead of showing it. A system claim needs documented control links, command authority, a way to capture contractual policy, or documented quid pro quo methods. No, nothing is shown. This isn't a system without control linkages. It's a loop in the story. In genuine policy systems, formal institutional pathways carry causation. Appropriations committees handle budgets. The Senate is where treaties go. The War Powers Framework tells the military what to do. Energy development goes through leases, permits, and agreements with other countries. The claim does not prove that Singer owns or controls any of those control gates, so the model falls apart when you map the system. The 17.3 trillion in oil number is also a fault with the signal. There is no geological categorization given. There is no mention of a proven reserve category. There is no recovery factor given. The country is now Venezuela, but she doesn't seem to mention the basin or lease zone, which isn't clear. This goes against the criteria for information adequacy. In systems analysis, big numbers that aren't sorted are noise, not data. Now, Lindy Lee's debt argument, which also goes wrong. The implication that U.S. sovereign debt is related to individual foreign energy projects is not true. Statutory budget shortfalls make the federal debt rise. Military actions and energy cooperation are budgeted for under those legal frameworks. You can't say, we're broke, so we can't do any foreign operations, until you change the way sovereign budgeting works. That is a mistake in the category. The assertion that there is no day-after plan is likewise not backed up. Any action that affects the whole country sets off interagency planning organizations. The State Department, the Treasury, and the Energy Department all have existing continuity frameworks. To say, there is no plan, you need to show that those systems weren't used. There is no proof like that. Now, do I want to hear more about those plans? Yes, but that might not be enough for people who don't like Trump. Now, to go further, this statement makes 4 big mistakes in analysis from a systems point of view. First, it swaps out control evidence with stories that are close to home. Second, it replaces proof of cause with emotive framing. Third, it swaps out organized data for big numbers that don't come from anywhere. Fourth, it turns complicated federal systems into one bad guy node. That is not an analysis of the system. It is a trick for compressing stories. In information theory, this is called a high-entropy persuasion packet. It seems complicated and important, but it doesn't have a lot of confirmed structure or a clear cause and effect relationship. High-entropy stories make people believe things, not know things. Still, if Lindy Lee wanted to make a serious, systematic claim or accusation, she would need documented approaches to capture policy, written down loops of financial dependency, documented relationships of command authority, written down benefit streams from contracts or laws, budget scoring trails, documents for treaties and leases, records of agency coordination. There are none of those here. The system's validation shows that the claim is false. It doesn't show who is in charge of what, who gave permission for what, who legally profited, or how the policy pipeline really works. It is not a criticism of America First. It's a story that relies on stacking inferences, and stacking inferences is not proof. Thanks for taking the time to view this article. Please follow for more, like, share, and leave a comment.